Hi, I'm Ryan Schatzberger, assistant baseball coach here at TCU. My responsibility with our program is taking care of the catchers. I'm going to show you some of the drills and our philosophies we use in developing and training our catchers. The first of the three things I want to talk to you about are our catching musts: blocking the ball, catching the ball, and throwing the ball. Blocking the ball. We do not want to give up free bases in this program. We want to make sure we block every single ball. Catching the baseball. We have to try to catch as many strikes as we possibly can to help out our pitchers and our defense. And finally, controlling the running game and throwing the baseball. We have to be able to play catch. We do not want guys to be able to run on us and execute offenses on us. So, the three things are blocking the ball, catching the ball, and throwing the ball, controlling our running game. The most important thing we talk about here is our pitch thought. Before every single pitch, our catchers have an idea of what they want to do before the ball comes to them. Helps them relax and helps them keep playing the game one pitch at a time. First thing we're going to talk about is our stance. And the first stance we talk about here at TCU is our signal position. Here you see Brian in his signal position. If you notice, his glove is off his left knee, keeping his signs away from the third base coach. His knees are pointed at the middle infielders. You want to make sure you point that left knee at the shortstop and your right knee at the second baseman. This allows them to see the signs and the pitcher to see the signs, but not anybody else. He has a tall chest and a short bottom, rolling his hips forward to emphasize being tall. His knees are parallel to the ground, and he keeps the signs deep and in front of his cup. Now, one of the flaws you'll see a lot of times in young catchers is they'll flare their knees out and they won't point their knees at the shortstop and second baseman. The problem with that is now everybody knows what pitch is coming. Or they'll put their glove on top of their knee and not in front of their knee. Another problem is that the pitcher can't see the catcher's signs because the catcher is hunched over at the shoulders. He rolls too far forwards and minimizes what the pitcher can see. Now, for our primary stance, after we give our signal, we call pitch, we call the location, we know where the ball is going. So we have to shift to get to that position. So all Brian's going to do is just take a nice easy jab step and follow his body to the location of the pitch. If you notice, the weight is not on his heels and it's not on his toes, it's on the balls of his feet. This stance allows him to catch every ball in the middle of his chest, trying to get more strikes. Again, in this position, when we do our receiving, we're going to try to catch the outside of every baseball. If you notice his target, if you think of it as a clock, he has a 1 o'clock setup. This allows him to have a consistent target for the pitchers, no matter what pitch is coming. One thing you'll notice from this position is if Brian turns his glove, he cuts down the angle and the target for his pitcher, gives him a smaller target. It's going to be harder to throw to. Now, if you notice, when he's in his proper target with the 1 o'clock setup, he has a low target. He doesn't have it in the middle of the zone. He has it in the bottom of the zone. The catcher really needs to train his pitchers to throw the ball down in the zone. The more the ball is down the zone, the less likely that it's going to get hit hard. And if it does get hit hard, it's probably going to get hit on the ground. Now, one of the flaws you might see when the catcher goes from his signal position to his primary position, again, the primary position when there's nobody on base and there's less than 2 strikes. One of the flaws you might see is when they call a fastball, a lot of the times in the high school, the catchers will slide to get to their position. So this is what that would look like if he slides to get to his position. Notice how he takes a step to the side and then slides his body over to it. Now, if a catcher calls a breaking ball in his signal position, a lot of times they'll hop in high school to get to that position, as Brian did right there. Tried to get a little bit wider and try to let the ball get a little bit deeper on him. This is one of the major flaws going from your signal position to your primary stance. You want to try to do the same thing every single time so that you're not tipping your pitches. All right, now the final of our 3 stances is our secondary position, and we call it here our ready position. We're ready to make a play, we're ready to move, ready to block, and we're ready to throw. This position here gives us the best chance to move around and keep the ball in front of us. When we use this is when there's 2 strikes or a man on base. How we get into this? We're going to get from our signal position, and we're going to get a little bit wider with our feet. Getting wider, getting our butt down and our back a little bit flatter so that we can move and react to the baseball. The most important thing in the secondary position is being able to move. If you look, Brian's target has not changed height. He's the same target as he did when he was in his primary position. This still allowing the pitcher to throw the ball down in the zone. As you can see, the weight's on the balls of his feet, allowing him to move side to side and straight ahead. This is extremely important because there's going to be a man on base or 2 strikes. We have to be able to keep the ball in front of us and prevent the base runner from moving up 90 feet. Blocking. This is one of the most important things we do here. We want to make sure that our pitchers can throw any pitch in any count in any location. So what is a good blocking position? When Brian goes down to block this ball, he has his shoulders over his knees, his elbows are tight to his body, his hand is behind his glove, and his ankles are flat on the ground. There's not a whole lot of space for any ball to get through. The most important thing to do when you're blocking is do not try to catch the ball once you've decided to block it. When blocking outside the plate, you want to throw your glove first. So as Brian throws his glove, his body is going to follow. Wherever your glove goes, your body's going to go. Again, do not try and catch the ball if you've decided you're going to block the ball. Extremely important point here is have both knees down on the ground. If both knees are down, there's no way the ball should be able to get underneath you. Now, some of the flaws in blocking will be if you don't get both your knees down. You get one knee down. There's a lot of space there for that ball to get through. His chest isn't square, his chest isn't over his knees. His ankles aren't low. There's a lot of space in there between his legs for that ball to get through. One of our blocking principles here is we want to block the ball in front of us at all times. So if the ball is outside the strike zone and Brian goes to block the ball here, he gets his outside knee down. Now, if you notice, he's blocking the ball in front of himself, which happens to be going towards home plate. The recovery of the catcher wants to keep the ball in front so he doesn't have to run diagonal across the plate to go get the ball. We want to try to keep the ball as close to us as we possibly can so that he can get up and make a strong throw. If you notice, his shoulders are over his knees and his chest went over the baseball. His chest is nice and relaxed. His chin is right down on his chest. He didn't jam his chin down, he took his chin down. One of the big things you'll see in high school catchers a lot of times is they'll turn their head. You don't want to turn your head. Your mask is in the front. You have no protection on the side if a ball bounces up and it hits you. The most important part of blocking the ball, other than keeping it in front, is gaining ground. So as you see Brian go down to block this ball, he gains ground towards the plate, trying to cut the ball off and smother that last hop. If you can gain ground towards the ball, it's less likely of you getting bad hop. It hops to the side of you, it hops over the top. He tracks the ball the entire way down with his eyes and lets it hit his chest. You should try to watch the ball hit your chest. The first of our blocking drills we call a point and block. So here you see the catcher has 3 balls set up in front of him. All we're going to do is point to a ball, he's going to slide over and get his body in the right position every time to block the baseball. Notice he keeps his shoulders over his knees, glove between his legs, and gains ground. Gaining ground towards the ball, trying to cut off that last hop. When he goes outside of the strike zone, he throws his glove first. Now, this drill can be done a lot of different ways. You can put a bunch of balls in, you can make them hop back and forth. The one thing we want to do is we want to make sure we can recover. So, when Jimmy goes down to block this ball in the middle, he wants to hop up and be able to throw. Being able to recover from your block is critical because the guys, if there's a good base runner, he's going to try to be advancing the base. Good. Notice this, we speed up the drill. When they block the ball, they pick it up with their bare hand. They're not using their glove to pick up this baseball. We'll try to minimize the time it takes us to get the ball to our hand to try to keep the runner from advancing. The next drill we do is our blocking series. It's 3 drills. First set, the catcher gets down, and we're just going to bounce the ball to him. He's going to block it. Really focusing on catching it with his chest versus catching it with his glove. The second set, he starts with his glove down and goes down as the ball's coming to block. Want to make sure that he's not going over his glove and he's gaining ground towards the ball. And the last set of this drill is he starts off in his regular position and just goes and reacts to the ball being in the dirt and sliding over and blocking it. One more. Now, the second time through this drill, the catcher's going to start with his glove down. They're just going to react to the ball being down. One of the things you'll see a lot of times when the catcher goes down the block is he goes up first. Jimmy goes up a little bit before he goes down the block. And the last set for this drill, he just starts off in his normal position, goes down and reacts to the ball and blocks it. So you can see, trying to gain ground, keep everything in front of him, keep the ball around the plate so he can react and make a throw if somebody is trying to advance. Does a good job of recognizing it early and getting down and blocking the ball. Our next drill we do with blocking is our no cheat drill. This is the best catching drill to incorporate your receiving, your blocking, and generally anything that has to do with catching. This drill, the catcher's going to set up in his secondary position. And the ball's either going to be thrown to him in the air and he has to catch it for a strike, or it's going to be bounced and he needs to get down and block it. The flaws you'll see in this drill are catchers will try to catch the ball on a knee. What happens is he starts to lean forward to anticipate a block. Another one is they'll lean to catch the baseball because they don't know what to expect, a block or a ball in the strike zone. They'll get down late to block the ball and the ball will kick away on them. Lastly, they'll try to catch a ball in the dirt and not get into the right blocking position. There's no way you can block that ball from that position. The best part of this drill is it teaches you to read down angle. So that he can get down and block the ball, but he gets down to block it after he sees the down angle out of the pitcher's hand. So this is what it looks like when it's done the right way. Another great part about this no cheat drill is it makes the catchers anticipate. They have to have a pitch thought going in, and they cannot try to cheat, get down the knee and anticipate a ball in the dirt if the ball is going to be up. They can't do that. They have to have a pitch thought and go with it. The pitch thought is a short positive reinforcement word in your head. So if you call a fastball in, you just think stick it. Positive, trying to catch the ball the right way, get your pitcher a strike. If you call a breaking ball with 2 strikes, block it. Get down there, be a wall. Something positive that's going to reinforce what you're trying to do on that particular pitch. One of the most important things with throwing and controlling the running game is being able to maximize your time before practice when guys play catch. As you can see, working on their feet, taking their chest to the baseball, making a good throw. This isn't a rushed motion. If you watch Brian throw, he has a short arm action. The ball never goes below his shoulder. It's not a long loop. It's right out of the glove, right to his ear, and throw. The difference if his arm is long is it's going to be down and all the way up and around by his ear instead of just being short and quick like that. Another important thing in throwing is making sure you have a 4-seam grip on the ball as much as you can. So as you see that when they're working their transfers, they already have their grip set so that they go into their glove and they have a grip. Making sure you have a four-seam grip is critical to making a good throw, so you don't cut a ball and just throw a change up down to second base. Set your grip. One more. Set it out. One of the most important things about throwing is being able to transfer the ball from your glove to your hand. What sets up your transfer a lot of times is your feet. If your feet are not in the right position, if you're not square, you're not going to be able to transfer the ball. Really want to make sure you go into your glove to get the ball and don't try to flip the ball to your hand. The best way to improve your transfers is just repetition after repetition after repetition. The next drill we're going to do for our throwing is called the T drill. Simple drill. Draw the T right behind the plate, taking the bottom of the T from the back of the plate. What we're going to do is throw the ball to the catcher. In the T drill, we want to make sure he starts with his feet on the back line. And when he goes up to throw, his feet end up on this line. We want to make sure his shoulders are pointed at second base, short arm action, good transfer, and his weight's not leaning back when he goes to throw. As you can see, his weight's 50-50, if not a little bit forwards. I want you to watch Brian's right foot. When he goes up to throw, his right foot gets right beneath his chin. Exchange and go. Brian does a good job of cheating his feet here, so even if the ball's fouled off, he's still in a good position to get the ball. One more, Brian. One more. In this last throwing drill we do, we really want to focus on breaking the throw down step by step by step, from the catch to the transfer to moving your feet to making a good strong throw. What's going to happen is his left knee is going to go first here. See how his left knee moved just before he caught that ball. Have the catch, the transfer, and then the throw. Gaining ground every single time. We want to gain ground towards our target to make the throw not as far. Catch, transfer, throw. Catch, transfer, throw. The reason we do that drill is so we know where the different parts of our throw are. So now when we speed it all up and put it in the game, this is what the final product is. All right, this is our 6-shooter drill, working on their hands, just letting their hands work back and forth, trying to catch the outside of every baseball. Start off just catching them. All right, now if you notice, his head stayed completely still as his hands moved around to the baseball. All right, this time go taps, really working on tapping the outside of the ball. All right. With taps, all we're trying to do is beat the ball to the spot to keep the ball towards the strike zone. Same thing, we'll do taps again. We're just going to pick up the pace just a little bit. If you notice, his head's completely still and his hands work nice and relaxed. His hands just work easily in front of his body, between his shoulder blades. All right, we're going to go catches, but now we're going to speed up the pace to where he's got to keep his head completely still and just use his hands. All right. What you're looking for in this drill is when Brian gets in his position, go ahead and get set up, that his hands just work nice and easy in front of his body. His shoulders don't slide your shoulders. He doesn't do this with his body. His head stays completely still and his hands work in front. If he doesn't use his hands, he uses his body, the drill will end up looking like this. It's a lot harder for him to catch the balls. All right, so right now we're going to go one more time and really pick the pace up and challenge him. This time go taps. Just again, trying to tap the outside of the baseball towards the strike zone. All right, good. Now, if you notice his position, you can do this in his primary and his secondary position. So go ahead and get in your secondary position and go catches. Again, his body stays still and his hands work in front of his face, in front of his chest, to keep the ball in the strike zone. Go taps. All right, good. The first thing we're going to talk about is position and stance when you're trying to receive the ball. If you notice, his hands at a 1 o'clock setup, giving a good target to the pitcher. This lets his elbow stay inside and move around. His hand can move around in front of his body. He never gets his hand in front of his face when he catches it, because you'll lose sight of the ball. So with his position here, if you notice, his feet are turned out, his weight is down, and his butt is low for his primary position. Nobody on, less than 2 strikes. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to fire up the machine, let him work on his receiving this way. Notice how still his body stays and his hand just works. Tracking the ball with his eyes, hands staying right in front of his chest, catching everything towards the zone. Nice and low with his setup to give the umpire a view of the strike zone. Catching every ball in front of his chest. All right. Notice Josh moves his body a whole lot more than the other 2 guys do. Just sliding his hips and makes it a little bit tougher for him to catch the ball. All right, now we're going to go with our secondary position, man on base with 2 strikes on the hitter. Notice they're a little bit higher, but he's not standing straight up. Again, still using his hands to catch the ball, not his body. Trying to beat the ball to the spot every single time. This is a great drill because you can increase the velocity, decrease the velocity, and it's pretty consistent near the strike zone. We do this drill a lot after we do our warm-ups with 6-shooter. You notice he just stays nice and easy with his hands. He's a little bit too wide, and his butt's a little bit too low. He's got to get his body down a little bit more. In the next drill, we're going to go rapid fire. Same receiving drill. First round can be just regular primary position. The second round will be your secondary position. We're going to put about 6 to 10 balls as quick as we can through the machine, letting him really work his hands and track the ball. What will happen if he doesn't do this right is he won't catch him and they'll end up hitting him in the chest, the face, the knee, all over the place. You really have to keep your body still and rotate your hands around the zone. Try and catch the outside of every baseball. Notice his hands working across his chest. All right, now with our secondary position, our ready position, let's try to go a little quicker here. Notice how still he stays with his body, he lets his hands work across his chest, trying to keep everything in the zone. So Jimmy's sliding his body around and is not getting as many calls. He didn't catch every ball because he's sliding so much. The next drill we do called walk-ups. This is a great drill to make sure the catcher stays still and really uses his hands. He's going to take 5 balls from here, move up, take 5 balls from right here, take 5 from there, move up, take 5 more from here. Right here, it's going to look like they're coming 100 miles an hour, and he really has to focus on just turning his hand, letting his hand work and tracking the ball with his eyes, not sliding his body back and forth trying to catch the ball. All right, here we go. Notice he's using his hands to keep everything in the zone. All right, now he'll walk up, take the next 5. Does a good job staying still, letting the ball come to him. Now he's going to move up a little bit more and take the last 5. This is where he really has to let his hands work and his eyes track the baseball. Good job, Brian. Jimmy's a little bit more narrow than Brian's, but still lets his hands work in front of his chest. Keeps every ball in the zone, nice and easy with his hands. Got on top of that ball, caught it going towards the zone. Good. Catching every ball in the middle of the zone, away from his face. Good job, Jimmy. Gives a good target to the pitcher, keeps his body still, using his hands across his chest. Nice and still, and lets his hands work, trying to catch every ball in the middle of his chest. All right, the second time through that drill, you just saw the primary position. Now we're going to go with our secondary position. Man on base or 2 strikes. We're going to do the same thing. Start here, move up, and move up again. Really working on letting his hands work, because what you do in your primary setup, you got to be able to do when there's a man on base and 2 strikes, to be able to move and block a ball if need be. This is a great drill to really, you're going to see a mistake if somebody's moving their hands and their shoulders too much, because they're going to take one right in the mask. All right, you ready? Again, using his hands nice and easy, getting to the baseball before it falls off, before it falls out of the strike zone. Still staying nice and still, letting his hands work, taking the ball to the strike zone. So he's scooping at the baseball versus trying to catch the baseball. They're a little bit low, but you still got to be able to catch that ball. See how much his body slides versus just letting his hands work? Staying nice and still, letting it move. The closer the catcher gets, the more he's really got to focus on staying nice and still. Staying nice and still, If he moves too much, he'll just miss the ball completely. Just miss the ball, he moved too much. Now he's back, stay nice and still. They should be catching the ball, not reacting to the ball. Nice and easy, see how still he stayed? All right, for our next drill, we're gonna do something we call a semicircle drill, where the catcher's gonna stay still and his partner's gonna walk around the outside of him, flipping the ball to him. This drill works on catching every ball in every spot, coming this way and coming back in this way. Again, we're trying to keep everything in the strike zone. We're not moving around, we're just letting our hands work. Glove on. Staying nice and still, just letting his hands work in front of his body. And then once you finish, just go back around. All right, that drill right there, if you noticed, he stayed completely still, and the only thing that moved was his hand. Started coming from this side, turned the ball in, catching it going towards the zone. As he walked around, his glove turned. Just like he's gonna have to catch a pitch out, there it is, that's his angle. He's gonna have to catch the ball in, there's his angle. So that's a great drill, quick lead-in drill. We usually go 6-shooter, and then we'll go with our semicircle, and then we'll start with our machine work. The last receiving drill we're going to show you is called glove flips. Do it in our primary position and again our secondary position. Every receiving drill we do that starts in our primary position, we're going to do it again in our secondary position, just so we get used to the feeling of receiving and moving around with a man on base and 2 strikes. All right, this drill called glove flips. The catcher's going to start with his glove somewhere outside the zone. If he starts with his glove over here, we want to throw the ball up here, so he has to turn his glove over and catch it. If he puts his glove down here, we're going to throw it up here. He's got to turn his glove around and catch it. At no point, really, we're going to throw the ball in his chest. This drill, you really got to work to beat the ball to the spot. It's one of our big principles here is beat the ball to the spot. You call pitch, you call location. There's no way you should get beat unless the pitcher misses his spot by 6-8 inches. Staying nice and still with his body, just working on turning that glove over. Try and keep every ball towards the zone. Good. All right, Josh, hop in there. Try and get to the outside of every baseball when we're doing this drill. Catch every ball as a strike. Try to keep everything in the zone. Those drills right there are primary receiving drills that we do. We do them try to do them almost every day. The more you can receive off a machine, the better off you're going to be, because you can manipulate the speeds, throw breaking balls for consistent strikes, throw them in the dirt for balls, and make them move around. Those drills right there, the 6-shooter and the semicircle, we'll do those before games just to warm up their hands. The more you do those drills, the better you're going to be receiving the ball, making your pitcher look better, making yourself look better, and hopefully leading your team to wins. In this video, we've shown you a lot of our philosophies and drills. We know these drills work for us. I hope they work for you in training and developing your catchers.